What is a function? A function is a relation in which each input leads to exactly one output. Example, y equals x plus 3. A, find the domain. B, find the range. And C, is it a function? Do remember, read word problems at least 2 or 3 times. That way it makes a little more sense. The first time, it may not make sense at all. So what is a function? A function is a relation in which each input leads to exactly one output. Okay, so our equation in this case, y equals x plus 3. How about we do a quick table? Probably makes it easier to visualize. Okay, so x variable, keep in mind, always first in our table, and y variable, second column, second value. Well, let's randomly pick some values. In this case, I've randomly selected -2, -1, 0, 2, 3, and 4. And of course, let's try plugging them in, just like before. We want to probably try to graph this, right? To see if it makes sense, a little more sense, I should say. So -2 plus 3. Notice the parenthesis just implies that I'm substituting for x. But I don't really need the parentheses there. So I could get rid of them. So we have -2 plus 3, -2 minus 3, or pardon me, -2 plus 3. Trying to reverse this, just say 3 minus 2. Well, that gives us 1, right? So keep in mind, you can go -2 plus 3, or reverse it and say 3 minus 2. Okay, once again, that gives us 1. Let's plug it into our table. Y equals, in this case, plugging in the substitution of the x value, -1. So, -1 plus 3, or 3 minus 1. That gives us 2, right? So let's plug in our table. Y equals, and now we have a 0 for x. So 0 plus 3. Well, that's fairly straightforward, right? 0 plus 3, 3. Plug in our table. Well, keep in mind, there's more than one way to fill a table. Agreed? Let's remember that y equals mx plus b. Well, this is our linear equation in slope-intercept format. Slope, meaning our m value, and intercept, meaning the v value. But it has to be completed as a coordinate, right? Which means we always have a 0. 0 come with the v value, whatever it is in this case. We would plug it in there. Okay, so in this case, our equation reads y equals 1x plus 3. Well, it turns out that our slope, for this case, is the one that's in front of the variable, the x. So it's a 1. So m equals 1. The y-intercept appears to be 3. So let's replace the v-value, and there's a y-intercept of 0, 3. Keep in mind, it has to be a full coordinate, meaning 2 parentheses, 1 opens, 1 closes, and in the middle, a 0, a comma, and then followed by your b-value, in this case, a 3. It's the y-intercept. Do note, this is the starting point. We define it as the starting point, hence, it crosses the y-axis. So, if this is the starting point, notice that we have in our table 0 and 3, our current values. Well, our slope tells us how to move. So it's telling us that we're going to increase 1. So 3 plus 1, well, 4, 4 plus 1, 5, 5 plus 1, 6, etc. So we probably could start from the beginning. For the y values, 1 plus 1, 2, 2 plus 1, 3, 3 plus 1, 4, 4 plus 1, 5, 5 plus 1, 6. And it probably would have been a little bit easier to fill our table. But nonetheless, it's still another way to do it. Okay, so A, find the domain. The domain is all real numbers. Well, in general, we can pick any x value. So we can pick any negative value as well as any positive value, which includes zeros. So the 0 is well included, meaning all real numbers. So let's write a double looking R. So this double looking R implies, or is a symbol for, all real numbers. Well, if we can plug in any real number for x, so there's a chance we're going to get any real number for y as well. So B, the range is all real numbers then. And once again, the double R implying that's all real numbers. You'll see this in future math classes. But for now, let's just keep in mind that it exists, and it represents all real numbers, or it states that it's all real numbers. C, is this a function? Well, let's say it looks like it is based on what we have for the table. It has one input, which gives us exactly one output. None of those inputs are repeated, so therefore we only have a single output. And now let's try to do a quick graph. Let's remember that we want to label our y-axis and x-axis. And let's plot the points that we have up on our table. And I'm going to do the positive ones just for reference in this case. And we can kind of tell that they form a line. So, tracing a line through our points, there we go. Keep in mind the fact that we have an arrow going down into the left and going up into the right implies that we can use any x value. So our domain, the x values, any x value, so all real numbers. Our range, notice it goes down to the left forever or goes up to the right forever. So this implies that we have any real number for our range as well. In other words, the y value.